You're listening to Puma Podcast.
So, this story called From Rivals to Romance
Mhm.
starts with Alice Guo's point of view, and she receives a message from the Senate
Mhm.
saying that she was to be investigated.
Mhm.
And then Senator Risa arrives and she says, "I'm here now, everyone," which is, of course, a natural way to talk. And then Alice Go internally says, "I was shocked when I see her. Siya, sabi ko sa sarili ko, oh, Diyos ko, kay liit ng mundo." And then there's a scene also where Senator Lauren Legarda and Senator Risa Hontiveros are talking, and Senator Lauren says, she says, "Oh, siya, si Risa Hontiveros, si Mayor Alice Go, nababading ka na naman." So yun, that's, that's how it should read. Um,
Wow. And how much of that have you read, would you imagine?
I
Like
skimmed
hours and hours?
around three of them. No naman.
Okay, okay.
I'm not a masochist. I skimmed through like three of them.
Mhm.
And they really were mostly meet cutes.
Mhm.
Some of them have a label that's
Yeah.
mature.
Yeah.
I know I'm mature, but I
Wow.
didn't read those
Yeah.
out of respect to
Mm.
the senators.
Yes, you just heard excerpts of romantic fan fiction written about suspended Bamban Mayor Alice Guo and Risa Hontiveros, the senator at the forefront of the effort to hold her accountable. That's because the Senate hearings that propelled Guo's infamy have also gained her an unusual fandom. In this episode, we hear from analysts tracking support for Guo online. They walk us through what makes this fandom so unique, why it exists in the first place, and weigh in on whether we should be concerned. I'm Bella Perez Rubio, Puma Podcast, and you're listening to Teka Teka.
So I'm CX Roque. I'm the managing director
Mhm.
and lead analyst at Social Signals. And we're a social media intelligence firm, which just
Mm.
means that, we study the narratives and messages online, who's talking about them, and how they're spreading.
Yeah, and we're here to talk about a very specific finding of yours related to Senator Risa Hontiveros and someone who's been in the news quite a lot these last few
Yeah.
months,
Yeah.
Alice Guo. Can you tell me a bit more about how you stumbled on this finding and what it's been like ever since?
Okay, so what you're talking about specifically, I think, is the shipping fandom about Alice Go and Senator Risa Hontiveros. It's a small fraction of Alice Go supporters, but they're very passionate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we found that out of the positive videos that were about Alice Go, 8% of them were about this ship. When we say ship, it's fans that are really excited and promoting a specific pairing that's romantic or that's in their
Mm-hmm.
minds romantic. In this case, it's as if something romantic is going on with Senator Risa Ontiveros and Alice
Mm-hmm.
Go. And on TikTok, which is where we're studying this, the way they portray this is through video clips of the Senate hearings mostly. So they
Yeah.
would interpret it as if they're romantically looking at each other, or they would add dialogue from other movies, or would
Yeah.
superimpose romantic music and then make it look like there are romantic undertones in the Senate hearings.
To give you a better idea of the size of this ship, Social Signals tracked 136 unique TikTok accounts using the Guantiveros hashtag. On Wattpad, the most popular Guantiveros fic has amassed 150,000 views as of July 2024.
Obviously, I know what shipping is. I've seen people do it with regards to characters in TV shows, in books, sometimes even actors and actresses in real life. But it's very new for me to hear about people shipping two people within the political sphere. I could be wrong, but that seems like that's not the usual subject of ships. Yeah, the whole thing is just so foreign and alien to me. And I can't imagine how someone would even get started down that path. I guess it helps that you said that they're Alice Guo supporters, but anything else you can tell us about how the shipping started in the first place?
it helps to look at it as a really small piece of the pie of this larger Alice Go fandom. So
Mhm.
what my team did is we looked at TikTok videos using that use the hashtag Alice Go, and we
Mhm.
found that positive videos, meaning videos that put her in a favorable light,
Yeah.
are 3 times more than the negative videos.
Uh-huh.
So that sounds like a lot of support, right? But if you look into that support, more than 90% of that is just fan videos. So they don't really address the issue about her identity, her connection
Mhm.
to Pogos, or any of the other issues raised in the Senate hearings. What they
Yeah.
do is they get personal clips of her from her Facebook account before. And then they would essentially give off the vibe that she's cute, she's funny, she's quirky, and even in the rare times that they use the Senate hearing clips, they
Yeah.
use shots of her that make her look awkward and relatable. They
Mhm.
use shots of her where she's giggling. So
Mhm.
while the support is massive in terms of the content, because they're very prolific, it's not really addressing any of the
Your
issues.
Honor, hindi ko po alam. Your Honor, hindi ko po alam.
And
Your Honor,
because of
hindi
that,
ko po
the
alam.
culture around
Your Honor,
the content is very
hindi ko
different.
po
It's not
alam.
it's not like they're
Your
debating,
Honor,
as we would
hindi ko
often
po
see people
alam.
on opposite sides of a political fence, where the defense would raise their points, the attackers would raise their own points, and they would just try to point and counterpoint each other. But here,
Yeah.
the attacks, they really are about the issues, and most of them use personal accounts. So around not most of them, but a lot of them use personal accounts. So 44% are from TikTok accounts that actually use their faces. So
Mhm.
when they attack Alice Go, they post, when they share incriminating videos from the Senate hearings, when they share bad media coverage about her, they typically use their personal accounts, or it's a public official like Senator Risa, or it's a media
Yeah.
outlet. But in terms of Alice Go, around more than 90% of the accounts that are sharing the fan videos are mostly anonymous.
Yeah.
However, it doesn't mean necessarily that it's a fake operation. We've also seen markers that the activity is authentic in the sense that the political or communication agenda behind it is a little weird. I've
Uh-huh.
written political and crisis communications for a while now, and that's not really a strategy that you would go heavy on, not just posting vibes, right? Just
Yeah.
posting videos that make your client look cute. At some point, you have
Yeah.
to address the issues because we can't really prove that it's all real people.
Mhm.
That's one reason why we think that there's real people behind it, as in real
Yeah.
fans, and also very few, but they're there. Even though it's mostly anonymous fan accounts, a few of them connect their Alice Go fan account to their personal Facebook
Yeah.
accounts or their personal TikTok accounts where they show their faces or they have
Yeah.
clear markers of being real accounts.
Yeah.
And also, some fans have started dropping out of the fandom in the past 2 weeks
Yeah.
because the trigger seems to be when they released the NBI documents of
Mm.
another person who also had her
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
So there were some fan accounts that were saying things like, sobrang nakakahinayang, I still believe na sincere yung pinakita mo sa Kabamban,
Mhm.
or they would say that they're disappointed or ang sakit. So
Mhm.
if it's a political operation, why
Yeah.
would they change their minds?
Yeah.
It remains to be seen lang how large this shift is within the fandom. No? But the
Yeah.
fact that it's there, parang to me, it shows that there are a lot of parang real fans who are actual people.
CX answers more of my questions after a quick break.
I think you've laid out these indicators that would show that, these aren't just trolls. These aren't just paid operators. Possibly they're actual people who actually support Alice Guo. But then, that doesn't completely answer another thing that boggles my mind about this, which is, why does she have supporters in the first place?
One thing I noticed about the accounts, the fan accounts
Mhm.
specifically, that are just posting vibes videos of her,
Mhm.
is that they're very young. some of those that are dropping out are saying that they're not going to be posting as much because school is starting. They're also female coded in the sense that,
Yes.
first of all, the Gontiveros ship, it's a sapphic ship, so it's likely young sapphics that are behind that part of the fandom.
Mhm.
They've even written Wattpad stories about her.
Mm.
The most viewed one is called Your Honor, I Need Cuddles. Yun nga, so parang it's because that maybe that fan base see this more as, and I'm only speculating here based on my experience as a comm strategist and analyst, that to them this is less about political issues and national security issues and corruption issues. It's
Mhm.
really more about entertainment. And these Senate hearings that are specifically about Alice Go, they're really made for something like TikTok. They're really made for something like
Yeah.
entertainment. So the
Mhm.
mystery of her identity, yung family niya na parang, may family drama there.
Mhm.
And these compelling characters of her, this teacher Rubilin,
Yeah.
Senator Risa, Senator Win, even if it's a really serious issue, there's entertainment there. And if you aren't yet siguro at the age where you feel there's any major stakes,
Mm.
you do just treat it like other entertainment media that you consume.
I've kind of been dreading this, but we have to get to it. You mentioned
Okay.
already the most popular piece of fan fiction on Wattpad. Can you give our listeners, our viewers, an idea of what this fan fiction entails? Like, what are the popular premises?
Right.
How are they characterized, etc.?
Unfortunately for me, I skimmed this as part of the research,
Yeah.
but if you're anyone who's read any kind of romantic fan fiction, the setups are the same. They meet,
Mm.
um, Senator Risa or Alice Go finds the other one attractive, and then
Mhm.
magugulat na lang sila, ay, tayo pala yung magkaaway dun sa Senate hearing. See, it's not even an adult concept of what a Senate hearing is like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, by the time Senator Risa is even thinking about filing anything
Yeah.
or setting up hearings, she knows what Alice Guo already looks like. She's not gonna
Yeah.
find some random person in the Senate building attractive
Yeah.
and then not realize that it's her. Right?
Mm.
So it's typically like that. There's a meet cute, and then there are some where Senator Lauren Legarde is also involved.
Yeah.
It's kind of a love triangle. You also ask like what be political ships. They're not really something that you
Mhm.
often see. And
No.
diving
Yeah.
upon this, I seen there's actually a subculture for it here. Yeah, on TikTok. There's even a
Mhm.
Len Risa ship where it's former Vice President Lenny Robredo
Mm.
and Senator Risa Hontiveros. But syempre, it's not as active now because
Mhm.
VP Lenny is not as present in the news. But yun, so parang, I guess as someone who's an elder millennial, I guess, it's now my time to say, I guess this is just what the kids do.
When I first heard about this, as I said, it was several weeks ago, and my mind was just completely blown. And I'm happy to have this conversation just to try to understand it a bit more. But now that you say that this is part of a larger trend of what kids do, I am recalling that I've seen undertones of this even like between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, which is like an even more contentious relationship, right? Like these
Right.
guys obviously dislike each other very much. But I think the difference is on Twitter, I know people are joking. Could you write a fic on Wattpad and be joking? Like in on Twitter it's kind of tongue in cheek that like, oh, these guys actually just want to play golf together, hang out together. Joe Biden called Donald Trump after he got shot, like he cares about him. Stuff like that, jokes like that. What you're describing is similar, but I think I don't know if it's as tongue in cheek as what I see online.
I suppose that's true because the intent here appears to be not to laugh at it, right? The intent
Mm-mm.
here is for you and other people who are in this subculture or who
Yeah.
are in this in group to have something to talk about, to have something to consume. I don't think it's a joke either. It's really them more like expressing themselves, maybe expressing their interests.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's largely young female queer undertones here in the
Mm.
language that they use.
And as someone who has had to track immerse yourself in all of this content. How do you feel about it overall? Like, is it alarming to you? Is it just a nebulous thing? How do you feel about it?
I know I run the risk here of younger people calling me an old fogey. I remember when during the ouster of former Chief Justice Sereno,
Yeah.
where Larry Gadon was a villainous character at first.
Mhm.
He
Yeah.
was attacking her in the media through the filing of the impeachment. But later on, after CJ Serrano had been ousted, you would see kids taking pictures with him, enjoying
Mhm.
his antics. Essentially became a meme and treated as some kind of celebrity. So right now, Alice Guo is MIA, but I don't think it's far off to see her in a school if she resurfaces. You know,
Mhm.
to see her in a school where kids are surrounding her, taking pictures, just
Yeah.
being happy that they have proof that they met her.
What I worry about when I think of this is the fact that, I think in fiction and in other forms of media, we have a tendency to take a more sympathetic look about at characters who, if they were in the real world, we would not have much sympathy for. If they were in the real world, they would be criminals, and that would be that. But movies and all kinds of fiction, they kind of allow us to look at these very complicated people through a more sympathetic lens. There's a lot of good art that functions in that way, but my worry is these fan fictions about real people, I think the lines become so blurred because Alice
Right.
Guo is a real person. And if you're reading this fan fiction about how she cares for Senator Risa Hontiveros, and Senator Risa Hontiveros, who's a big part of the effort to extract accountability from Alice Guo, actually cares about her in a romantic way, I don't see how that wouldn't affect what people reading these fics thought about the real Alice Guo, who,
Right.
is accused and charged of doing very, very serious crimes.
Those alleged crimes include trafficking, grave misconduct, gross neglect of duty, and faking her citizenship, to name a few.
So for me, that's kind of the alarming piece of this. Although I'll admit that I'm hearing about all of this for the first time, so I'm not saying that my opinion is, the end all be all, but that was kind of my initial response and takeaway from this.
Well, to kind of wind back on my old fogey perspective, I am feeling slightly optimistic kasi nga may percentage of the fandom that's turning away from her now that
Mm,
it's parang gotten real, right?
yeah,
And the fandom naman here appears to be surface level because it appears to be just about how cute and charming she is, right?
yeah,
It's not a passionate defense. It's just
mm,
look, she's fun.
yeah,
And that does show you limits of fandoms also, which is if it's surface level, it hasn't really stopped the arrest order, it hasn't stopped her disappearance, it
yeah,
hasn't stopped the Coranto petition against her. So
yeah,
those are things at least that we can find comfort in. That if those of us who are outside of the fandoms care about the issues and pay attention to what's going on and
yeah.
hold our representatives accountable, the fandoms aren't going to run the world.
That was today's episode of Teka Teka. Again, I'm Bella Perez Rubio. If you want to learn more about Alice Guo and her many pending cases, our founder Robbie Alampay sat down with fellow veteran reporter Christian Esguerra to talk all that and more in an episode titled What We're Getting Wrong About Alice Guo. It's available on YouTube and wherever else you get your podcasts. Pidoy Blanco edited this episode. Our executive producer is Jill Caro, and our editor-in-chief is Carl Javier. Thanks for listening.